Story 1. I still have collectors chasing me for 2 months of internet service after I had canceled, disconnected my line, and moved in 2022. They also claim I have to pay to replace their rented equipment, which I never used, and had to pay shipping fees to send back to them despite telling them I was using my own equipment in my initial installation request. I was a customer for 5 years. I have spent at least 12 hours trying my best to contact any sentient life form to resolve their mistake. They provide literally zero options to speak to a human about issues like this. The debt is not life-ruining, but I absolutely refuse to pay and have taken a hit to my credit because of it. That miserable company. Story 2. Asus. They kept sending me back the same broken motherboard over and over again. Months of wasted time and money until I finally gave up, threw it out, and bought a different brand. Story 3. Progressive Insurance. When I moved states, I needed to get insurance in the new state. My quotes were coming in astronomically high. Progressive was cheapest by hundreds of dollars. I replied to our local agent that it was ridiculous, and I would just stay with Progressive. She was shocked to hear I had insurance as it wasn't reported on the national database. My rates were so high because I hadn't had insurance for over 3 years. I went to see her and showed her my documents. I'd been with Progressive for 5 years. She sighed and said they don't always report you as covered. Then, if you look for other insurance, they'll always be the cheapest. She'd seen it before. She entered my policy number and ran new quotes. Progressive was more than $100 more expensive than any other company quoted. Always make sure a new company knows about your existing policies when getting a quote. Story 4. Uber Eats. I ordered $50 in takeout. The driver went to my neighborhood and parked his car nearby. He stole the food and didn't move. Because the Uber support thinks he's close and on his way, they won't help, saying he's close, it's coming. But the food never comes. I tried to ask for a refund. Sorry, we can only offer you $12 in refunds on your $50 order. Chargeback it is, and cancel membership forever. Story 5. Lazy Apply was supposed to be an automation tool that applied to jobs for me using my browser, but it didn't work on basic job sites like Indeed. I just got run around by offshore customer support for hours when I tried to get my money back. The unfortunate thing is they made me pay for a lifetime, so I got hustled out of a big chunk of change. Story 6. Etsy. Bought something that never arrived. The seller refused to give a refund, stating that they sent it. I contacted Etsy, and they said, "We don't get involved in seller and buyer disputes." Eventually, the seller contacted me and said the package was returned to them. But the fact that, if I had been scammed, Etsy would do nothing about it was too much of a risk. I may as well buy off Craigslist. Story 7. Going to throw my own out there. Airbnb, so many bad experiences, the worst of which I won't go into detail here. Lenovo sent me a defective laptop, wasted a dozen hours of my time on customer service issues, and never rectified the situation. American Airlines, just a complete disaster that caused me to arrive days late and have to sleep in airports. Then they offered me $125 to make up for it, but only if I would sign up for their customer loyalty program. The only loyalty you get from me is not giving you another dime. Story 8. AmeriGas, we heat with propane. 4 years ago, they dropped our orders so many times that we were without heat in January, February, and part of March. No apologies, no nothing. Delivery was scheduled every week, and they never showed, didn't even call. Story 9. Petco. I asked the woman who worked there if she could help me with a chameleon diet. In the snottiest, "I'm better than you" tone, she said to me, "You can Google that," then turned back to what she was doing. She was feeding the chameleons. Not that my few dollars matter to big corporations. She was just so rude. I later got tons of help from the chameleon subreddit on here. Story 10. McLaren Hospital, Greater Lansing, called me the day before my daughter's surgery and told me I had to pay more than $6,000 right now, or the surgery would be canceled. So I paid. A month later, I discovered that they overcharged me by more than $3,000. It took months, multiple calls, and complaints to various agencies before they corrected it. I still worry about all the people who canceled their surgeries because they didn't want to pay that kind of money. Story 11. Comcast. My husband died. The account was in his name. They made me go down in person with his death certificate so I could pay the balance and have the account transferred to me. Then the customer service representative didn't do it correctly and didn't make a copy of his death certificate. So they made me go back again in person because they are incompetent. I lost my husband at 50 and had 2 children and no family nearby. I hate this company. Story 12. United Airlines. 2008. In the middle of a connection, I found out my best friend was in a coma. I tried to reroute. The ticket agent stood with a straight face and told me it was $2,400, and there was nothing else they could do. I called my girlfriend and she booked me a one-way for $200 on United. In my moment of tragedy, that was the exact moment they tried to skim $2,000 off me. Story 13. Airbnb. Booked an amazing apartment for the wedding night, but the owner decided he wanted to use it then. The owner didn't provide keys, locked me out, and didn't reply to phone calls, except right at 29.5 minutes to say he's responding to ensure compliance with Airbnb rules to reply within 30 minutes. Then he told Airbnb I'd canceled, so I was due no refund. They accepted that and wanted to double charge me. Fought it and in the end only got 50% back. Never used Airbnb since. My level of hate for that company is still high nearly 10 years later. Story 14. Anthem Blue Cross. I almost quit my last job twice because dealing with them was so stressful, took months to resolve, and cost me tons of extra money. I don't apply to jobs now if the company only has them listed for health insurance. Story 15. Subway, not really customer service, but they sued a small food truck owned by a friend who was using it to pay for college and start a business. The food truck was posted nearby the subway, down the street. The reason they sued the food truck was that they claimed it was stealing their business. As ridiculous as it sounds, they somehow won the case and forced the food truck to shut down. Since then, I don't ever go into a Subway again. Story 16. Chipotle closed the store on the day of a catering order pickup, which was ordered and paid for weeks ahead of time, for my children's birthday party. No explanation, no help. I will never spend any money there ever again. Story 17. American Automobile Association once denied me service while I was stranded on the shoulder on the Interstate 5. They said my membership was expired, so I ended up using a private tow for $600. The next day, I confirmed that my membership was, in fact, active, and they accepted the error and reimbursed $100. Whoopee. Story 18. Tesla, and this is before Elon Musk's controversies. I tried getting solar panels through them, and they canceled my order without updating their status page. I had to wait 3 hours on hold until reaching someone who told me satellite imaging of my roof is incompatible. They were using a 7-year-old Google Maps photo, which was not up to date. Despite telling them this and providing evidence, I didn't hear anything back. If they're going to treat me like this before I give them any money, imagine how they would act after I dropped tens of thousands of dollars and ran into any issue. Story 19. Jeep used to be very loyal until they treated me extremely poorly when our Cherokee had a manufacturing defect in the engine. I would never buy one of their products again. Story 20. I once had to wait on hold with Comcast for 3 hours just to cancel my service. I have never been more motivated to switch to streaming services. Bye-bye cable. Story 21. Best Buy. Simply cannot believe that they survived when so many retailers have gone under. They messed me over 20 years ago, and I still feel upset every time I drive by the place. Story 22. Home Depot. Paid for an $850 dishwasher. They installed a $600 dishwasher. They never made it right, not for lack of me trying. They lost my entire family's business over $250. Wasn't even offered a gift card for the difference. Story 23. My mom was talked into a free iPad as long as she paid for the service. She set up her autopay and went about her life. 3 years later, a collection was added to her credit by Spectrum. I had to call and try to figure out what was going on because the app showed it was set up for autopay and all payments were made. 3 people gave me 3 answers and I finally had it. I contacted corporate and they also gave me nonsense. I finally had to threaten to report them to someone I can't remember. Maybe the Federal Communications Commission? I don't recall. The guy asked to give him some time and he'd look more into it. A week later, he came back and said their old system didn't transfer everything over and my mom had actually returned the iPad within 2 weeks of receiving it 3 years ago. They had proof of return and everything. Her memory isn't good, and she couldn't find the iPad, but she was convinced she just lost it. They treated both of us like thieves and it ruined their image completely for me. They're also just shady, in my opinion. Story 24, Wendy's. Ordered from there and got 3 completely raw burgers. Called to let them know their cook was giving out raw meat, like the kind where you can peel the cooked part off and the rest is absolutely raw, and she utterly dismissed me. Asked to talk to her manager and she would only give me a coupon. Forget Wendy's. Story 25. Called over 3 times to get my money back for an order that never arrived. Kept getting the same wait 7 to 10 days response over and over again. My last phone call was more unpleasant. Never got that refund. Had to dispute with the bank. Forget you, Macy's. Story 26. Best Buy has earned a permanent place on my list of disappointing experiences. The last few times I talked to someone locally, they were great. The online customer service people actively make getting any support for online purchases a chore. Also, I bought a gift card, used part of it, kept it in my wallet, and when I tried to use the rest, I was informed that someone successfully contacted support, claimed the card was stolen, and got the balance loaded onto another gift card. How did this happen? Needless to say, Best Buy owes me $110. Story 27. DirecTV. Between the installation technician who told me it would be fine for him if he only programmed and hooked up one of the boxes, and the customer service representative who kept talking over me and then realized I was right, that was it. Story 28. Best Buy. I had a horrible experience at a store that was under renovation. It was curbside pickup only. I ended up getting into an argument with an employee because they said I gave them the wrong information. They almost refused to give me the television I was picking up and told me I was lucky they were so nice. I immediately sent an email to the store manager. I found that email online pretty easily, honestly. I got a full apology from the manager and was told that I did everything right and that they would be speaking to the employee about the incident. I have not given Best Buy any money in almost 3 years. I only go there to pick up orders for other people when I'm closer. Story 29. DoorDash. They mess up 2 out of 3 times. I even had an experience where they delivered my order to the wrong address. When I tried to get a refund, which took nearly 30 minutes to reach someone, they only offered me a partial refund for an order I never received. Their service and customer service are so poor that they now operate without advertising that it's DoorDash being used by the restaurant. Story 30. I had a customer admit and send photos of them opening and damaging the item I sold, then claiming it didn't work. Electronic Bay forced me to cover the shipping costs both ways. I went through months of appeal with evidence from the customer of their damage and was told to cover it, on top of paying for their return shipping costs. I then promptly deleted my account and all account data. Story 31. AT&T. Le Pain Quotidien. Secret Lab. Crunch Gym. Armani Exchange/Fossil Watches. Zodic PC. Conversely, companies that have earned my I will purchase whenever they have anything remotely competitive with what I'm looking for. Logitech. Rag & Bone. ZGG/Best Buy. Instant Replacement Combo Lifetime Warranty. Savage Lighting Products. Hanks Belts. Story 32. Postmates, if it is still around. Early in the pandemic, I would make an order, and the delivery driver would get close enough to my house to mark it as delivered, and they would steal it. I would say I actually got my order about half the time. They eventually decided the driver could steal my food, and they would not refund me my money. They got a response of, "Cool, I will be permanently moving to one of your competitors as a result." And soon after, I got a refund and a message begging me to stay on the platform. I never got the app again or spent more money. Story 33. I am unhappy with Lowe's. I went a month without a clothes dryer while they kept giving me the runaround. It will be here tomorrow. It's at the warehouse, but the truck already left. Oh, Main Street. I thought you said Main Avenue. The delivery team finally showed up with a dryer, and it wasn't mine. It wasn't even electric. It required a gas hookup. I finally brought the washer back and returned it. No box, no receipt, just a phone full of texts, emails, and voicemails from the last month, and a scowl on my face that said, "You better take this washer back right now, or something very bad is going to happen." Story 34. Returned product and held my money for over 2 months after receiving it. I tried calling, emailing, and texting their WhatsApp. No response. I did a chargeback and they contested it. I had to furnish all proof returning the item and the credit card company ruled in my favor. Why should the customer be punished due to their terrible logistics and customer service? Forget that place. Not worth the hassle. Story 35. Apple. The person literally said I had to pay $30 to talk to him because my warranty expired. You barely speak English, and at the time, your products cracked if you looked at them wrong. Story 36. Pat McGrath is a makeup brand. Good makeup, but the shipping is the worst through their website, and customer service seems to actively ignore all emails. I purchased some makeup and never heard anything for weeks. I had to make an Instagram account to reach out to them, and they finally replied to me after weeks of emails.